It's Bourbon Night. Hello, I'm Chad.
I'm Sarah.
Sarah, what do we got?
We got Stagg JR.
Stagg Jr., the little brother.
Little brother of George T. Stagg.
Little brother George
Little
T.
baby.
Stagg. Now, George T. Stagg, of course, in the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, ranging around
15 to 17 years.
15 to 17 years. This guy more around 8 to 9. That's what they say?
8 to 9.
All right, 8 to 9 years. Non-chill filtered or non-filtered. That's what it says on here. Now,
non-filtered.
Of course, they filter it a little bit
Yep.
to get the chunks out, but not like chill filtering or charcoal filtering or anything that,
126.4 proof. That's not even the highest proof of one of these we've seen.
No, we picked this one because it's the latest release that we've purchased. And actually, this was just purchased about a week ago.
Yeah.
At the time of this recording. So,
Pretty recent.
I can't with certainty say this is the latest release at the time of this recording.
Sure.
But it is for us.
They do a couple of releases a year as opposed to the George T. Stagg Antique Collection, which is one time of year, and you will never get this. So this we can actually get.
But it's still kind of hard.
It is kind of hard to get.
This was still offered in an email. You go wait in line.
Sure.
They have 6 or 7 things. This is one of them.
Which is funny, because right when I first met you, we were talking. Oh, go ahead. I feel like I'm always talking when you do.
I know. I'm like, shut up. No, I'm just kidding.
Right when we first met, I had just started buying, more expensive bottles, and this was one of the first ones I had bought. I bought this, an Elmer T. Lee. I had a Weller Antique 107, and I was so happy with my little Buffalo Trace collection. And I remember we were talking about it.
Yeah.
But how it was just sitting on the shelf at that time, which was 2013, 2014?
I would say 14.
14? Yeah. Was just sitting there on the shelf, and this actually they only started releasing this in 2013, so
There you go.
it's just a year after.
Yeah. So recently we uncorked Buffalo Trace.
We did.
And we were all like in that episode, oh man, if only they made a barrel-proof Buffalo Trace, wouldn't that be awesome?
And I was like, yeah, that would be so cool, man. We're idiots, because this is pretty much that.
This is basically it. I mean,
if they were to make one, it would probably be something like this.
yeah, I mean, okay, put this in a Buffalo Trace bottle, call it Buffalo Trace, whatever.
It's Buffalo
But,
Trace mash bill number
Yeah,
1.
mash bill number 1, which is 10% or less rye,
At barrel strength.
at barrel strength. So
Now, the aging process,
aging
I don't
and
know.
where they take the barrels, this may have less blending of ages.
A smaller batch.
Yeah, a smaller
Yeah.
batch than Buffalo Trace. So it's a little bit different, but this is basically Buffalo Trace at barrel proof.
Yep. We felt real smart after we watched that one.
126.4 proof though. I've got a 130, maybe like a 131. I want to say,
you've
or
got
something.
a couple of different proofs
132
floating around
I think.
here.
Yeah.
But as you said, this is our most recent one. So
Yeah, and people have been asking for this episode.
clamoring for it.
So here you go. Huh.
That is some dried fruit on the nose.
Yeah, I almost was gonna say it's musty smelling.
I mean, I definitely get some char and like some smoky oak, but I
Yeah.
also get the dried fruit.
Dried,
I totally see what you're talking about, though.
dried figs.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say like a raisin or something, but sure, a fig is a much more sophisticated way of that.
That's
Not a
unlike
raisin.
It's unlike a Stagg Jr. nose that I've had before.
Normally, when I know Stagg Jr., I feel like, I just got kicked in the face.
Yeah.
So that's what I used to tell people whenever I first started drinking Stagg Jr. I'm like, if it's the end of the night and you want to pass out, you need to drink you some Stagg Jr. That was the first experience I ever had with it.
Yeah, so nose, and of course, such it is. It's an uncorking. Let it open up for a couple weeks or a month, and maybe it's picking up some different things, but...
Yeah, I also get some really faint cinnamon and vanilla.
I mean, even it just being in the glass for that little bit of time...
Has already let it open up.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. All right, well, let's dive in. Here we go. And there it is. And there's the Stagg.
The heat?
It's a...
It is.
Like, it's kind of famously known for that. I feel like, it doesn't mess around.
Packs a punch.
It's a Stagg.
Sure.
You're riding the Stagg.
Yes, exactly.
Ride the Stagg.
But it's if you can let that be agreeable to you, the proof. I still think, even in there, it's got some cocoa, it's got a little cinnamon, it's got a little vanilla, but it's also got the dried fruit notes and the kind of a smoky toasted oak note. I think it's really nice. It has a lot going on.
Yeah.
For such a high proof, I don't feel like it's overpowering the flavors. I feel like I'm still getting plenty of flavor. The color is so
Just
dark.
super dark.
I mean, I don't know that I've seen many. There are not many out there that are this color, I don't think, which is beautiful. It's a little intimidating, but it's not everything, so.
Yeah. It has a long finish. Finish is still going. Kind of smoky, kind of oaky. I mean, it's a lot of things.
It's a lot of things.
It's a lot of things.
It's a lot of things happening in one glass.
Second sip definitely opens you up to more stuff, you know. And we had a controlled bourbon, a barrel proof at that.
Yep.
Before this, but still, this is.
They're just like unfolding flavors.
You know, we had a Booker's as our control, just kind of. It's kind of like
so high.
You know, stretching before you exercise. But this is so in a different ballpark than the Booker's flavor-wise. They both pack a punch. I think this one is hotter.
It's hotter. The Booker's was a little more dessert-y. This has some dessert-like flavors, but I think it's more of a...
Main course. It's more main course.
It's more of a main course, yeah.
It's more savory. My mouth is even starting to water a little bit.
Like, right?
Yeah, like, you know, barbecue. Like a steak, you know? Something you just want to...
Juicy.
Meaty
Yeah.
that you want to rip into with your teeth. This drink's more like a meal.
Yes.
More like an entree. Or, yeah, like I said, the Booker's. More like a dessert.
For me, there's just more flavor notes that make me think of eating food.
Yeah. Well, as we like to do with over 100 proof bourbons, we like to add some water, see how it opens up, see what that does to it. So we're going to do that. What would you say? You open to about 7 drops of water?
I was thinking 6, but fine. No, I'm just kidding. 7's fine.
6.5?
Sure.
Okay.
7.
All right. 7 drops of water in here. We are going to let it
go.
sit, step away, and we'll be back right after this. And we're back. I wanted to do an NPR return instead of and we're back. Thanks for joining us. Instead of the and we're back.
Well, yes, because you can't do that every time.
You just can't do
But
that
you
every
just
time.
did it, so you can't do it next time.
All right.
You gotta spread that out.
Yeah. So we did our thing, we came back. This is mingled and married,
Yes.
and
They're acquainted.
they're acquainted now. They're on first name basis, if you know what I mean. So let's see what happened here.
I get a lot more sweetness and syrup on the nose.
Yup.
I'm glad we agree. Just that little bit of water really changed things.
Yeah. Cut down the heat a lot.
Brought more fruit, and I think it brought some more wood out.
A sweeter taste.
It's sweeter, yes.
It is more syrupy.
Yeah.
Definitely cut down a lot on the heat, just those 7 drops of water. I think this is a pretty typical practice for people drinking Stagg Jr.
Sure, a
They'll
lot of
say,
people put a couple of drops.
"Oh, you gotta put an ice cube in that, Sonny. Let it mingle."
Who said that to
I
you?
don't know. Some old man on the bus. I was like, "Please don't talk to me." Wait, why am I riding a bus?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And this was a dream that you had.
Yeah. But they're like, "Oh, but it really opens up with a few drops of water."
And it does alter it a lot. And
Yeah.
I can see why people who this is, again, it packs a lot of punch. It might be too aggressive for some people, and I think that's totally fine. I mean, at one point this was too aggressive for me. I was like,
Sure.
hey-o,
Sure.
that was a mistake.
I mean, it's definitely not a beginner
My
bourbon.
esophagus is on fire and I'm dead.
Yeah. I mean, if you're new to bourbon and you're like, "Well, hey, I like Buffalo Trace. I can
do a
I can
Stagg
ride
Jr.
the Stagg."
No.
Maybe.
Maybe you can with some water. Maybe you can neat.
You
But
can't break this Stagg.
don't hurt yourself, please.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what it does do is it really shortens the finish.
It does really shorten the finish, and for me, it made it, again, based off the first sip compared, made it a little too sweet
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. Well, second sip with the water.
Okay. The heat's still there.
I mean, it's still there. It's,
I'm getting more cinnamon,
besides it making it a tad drier
and the finish shorter,
and the finish shorter,
and a little sweeter.
I'm not minding the sweetness. It, I don't know. I mean, I like it neat or with water.
I mean, I like it both ways, but if I had to choose, I would choose
I would probably have, if I was just drinking this, one, it's gonna be a short night.
like all night. If I were drinking this all night, I would definitely have to have some water
Well,
with it.
I was just gonna say the first glass would be neat. And then after that, I'm probably either dropping a very small ice cube in there, or I'm just, cutting it with a little bit of water. Yeah, because if you do
It's a
this
true
all
statement.
night, you're just gonna burn your esophagus.
My first memory of trying Stagg JR was I got it in the fall of 2014, I guess, and I decided that I was gonna open it up on New Year's Eve as my last drink after some champagne and some other bourbons.
Never.
And I was like,
No matter
this
what
is
it
a
is.
good idea. All my friends are over. I was throwing the party, and I was like, we're gonna open this up. So I did, and I poured myself a little glass. I didn't make it halfway through that glass.
She was trying to ride the stag.
I literally was face down on my couch. So.
Oh, 2014, Sarah, you're hilarious.
4 years ago. She's just a little baby.
Just a little baby.
Anyways.
Okay. Well,
Pearls of wisdom.
yeah. We haven't really talked about price. This is around $50. This is one
If you can
because of
find
its scarcity does tend to get marked up. I have seen it for like $80. Never pay that for it. Come on. We found this down in New Orleans when we were down there for the New Orleans Bourbon Festival. Remember that?
Yes, not this one.
Sitting
but
on
yes.
this, not this.
It was just
exact
sitting
one.
there.
Just sitting there, being all
Keeping the shelf warm.
$55, whatever
Yep.
it was. So we got it. If you can find it between $50 and $60, I recommend.
I definitely recommend it.
Do the thing. All right, cool.
Especially again, this past weekend we uncorked Larceny Barrel Proof. It was also delicious. It was not as high proof as this, and it was $115, you guys. So that's a lot. So for an 8 to 9 year and 120 proofs, and you can get it for $50, and it's basically a barrel proof Buffalo Trace. I would highly recommend this.
Yes, absolutely. It's, I guess a lot of Buffalo Trace products have this, but it has an email address on the back. So if you want to email the bourbon and be like, hey, bourbon, how you doing? I just drank you.
You up?
Thank you. Hey, bourbon, you up? It's stag@bourbonwhiskey.com, and there's a telephone number, so you can text it and ask if, it's
I
up.
don't know if you can text it, but you could call.
Probably a landline.
You might be able to text it.
Yeah. Well, folks, thanks for sticking around. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, it helps out the channel. You can also help out the channel by going to our Amazon influencer page, where we have things like these Tribeca glasses and other things we use in our bourbon nights and flight fights. What about Patreon?
You can visit our Patreon page, patreon.com/itsbourbonnight. You can become one of our inner circle, our regulars, our drinking buddies, whatever you
You
please.
could be knighted and be a bourbon knight.
You could. We only have one. He is a very special man.
He is very special.
Dear to our hearts. Or you can just, chip in a buck. Just watch what we're doing on our lens. We try to post on our lens, several times a week, if not daily.
Absolutely.
And watch
So
what we're up to. So go check it out.
That's patreon.com/itsbourbonnight. And lastly, follow us on all them social medias. It's just @itsbourbonnight. Simple enough. Well, that'll do it for us. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay. And until next time, drink more bourbon.